Good. Okay. Hey guys, let's go Health here with a deck profile. This is going to be a brand new Chrome Jailer deck. It took me a little longer to get this out than I wanted to, mostly because there was a lot more trial and error when it came to building this deck. This deck in particular is what they say sacky. Sacky as hell. So it's very inconsistent. However, when it runs great, and even when you miss just a few things, it still runs pretty well. It has a lot of fallbacks, and they're solid. So that's why it works in the end. But let me just get into it. You should run the Duke Ride Chain. So starter's going to be Vortimer because it's pluses without Counterblast if you get it off. So that's why I chose to run him. For triggers, you're going to run a total of 7 crit. I think I've got a plethora of different types. I think that's what I ended up with. Any 7 crit will do. I prefer the 5Ks over anything because they're still a solid boost when you random call them. Now, honestly, I would not go any lower than 7 crit on this. I tried 6 crit, 6 draw, and it was horrible. For whatever reason, I guess, Vanguard is Vanguard. You're going to get random things all the time, but I would hit draws into more draw triggers and then not hit any crits when I needed to, and it was just awful. But since Diesel and I theory crafted for hours and just simply switched out a crit for a draw, it ran pretty well through about 5 hours of solid playtesting. So just that little change did a lot. So I would not do any less than 7 crit. And then that being said, I do run 5 draw. Like I said, any draw will do. The Falcon Knights, they don't do much. I don't think I've ever gotten their skill off in all that testing. Anyway, just run any 5 draw you can. Like I said, I prefer the 5Ks, but I was running low on other things because this is my second gold paladin deck. So that's what the choice I made. Next, standard 4 heals. Just run them. They did a lot of work in this deck. For good ones, it's Duke Ride Chain. So obviously you're going to run 4 of the Vortimer. I like him in this deck. Only besides he's a chain, he's the only 7K you run, which is kind of sad because you run a lot of 9Ks. So the 9Ks do kind of hurt you, but they are kind of necessary. But he's a solid booster all around, and he allows Duke to hit 18. Unfortunately, he's your only thing that that's the only card that will hit 18 with Vortimer. But otherwise, he makes your 9Ks hit 16, which is a solid number for most Vanguards. For other good ones, you're just going to run 4 perfect cards. They do, there's a decent amount of hand advantage in this deck. Not that you shouldn't run 4 perfect cards anyway, but this one does pretty well. So 4 perfect cards isn't a problem. Next, these are almost a must if you want to hit 18 at all. I mean, you'll see the 10Ks I run a decent amount, but that's the only way you're going to hit 18 with this deck. It doesn't do terrible against cross rides, but it doesn't do amazing. So Gareth is really your only hope against cross rides in the end. Next, 3 Dendron. I might switch this. I really don't know yet. Just further testing is needed. Too many times I drew into her. The only reason I don't lower her is because I have no way of getting her by choice. I have to call into her. But when I do, it's Soul Blast 1, draw a card. I haven't hit 2 to make the Duke Chain useless yet, so that's always a plus. But other than that, I hate that they're 6K, and I wish that I could just run, like 1. But it would be still too inconsistent. But who knows, I might switch it out for Schlegel Daggers because they're more 7Ks. For grade 2s, Vortimer, standard. They're 9K vanillas on the rear, but they allow the chain go off, whatever. Unfortunately, you have to run 4, otherwise you're just kind of dead in the water. But yeah, that's basically what they're there for, is the chain. Next, for Lop-Ear Shooter. Lop-Ear helps you, when you get him off Duke or Chrome Jailer, he allows you to keep getting stuff onto the field whenever you can't otherwise. So that's why I really like Lop-Ear. He really helps your Dendrons go off as well. It's really easy to go Chrome Jailer into a column, discard with Lop-Ear, hit a Dendron, and you really are just back where you started, and everything's gravy. So Lop-Ear does a decent amount of work. You know, drawing into him sucks, but it's still really cool to get him off. And then for the last one, just 3 Blaster Dark Spirit, or Blaster Blade Spirit rather. These are Blaster Blade Spirits. Blaster Blade Spirit is, in my opinion, just better than Blaster Dark Spirit, because how often than not does your opponent have a grade 1 in the front row, you know, for more than like a turn and a half. So more, like I said, more often than not, if you have the Counter Blast to use his skill, it'll go off whenever you top deck him. Otherwise, he's 10k. I mean, he's very fragile, but the only time I ever see my opponent attack him is if one of their rear guards can't hit my Vanguard. So, and that's fine, because otherwise I would have just intercepted and everything was dandy anyway. Unfortunately, I have to keep him at 3. I might bring him at the 4 and Lop-Ear down to 3, but I don't know yet. I have trouble hitting Lop-Ear as it is. But because I need more 10Ks to help hit 18, and more 10Ks to do for targets for Dendron, so that they can hit 16 rather than 15. But 3 has been doing pretty well. And then for grade 3s, you're gonna run 3 Duke, 4 just, you know, there's already a lot of somewhat dead cards, you know, vanilla rear guards when it comes to this deck, because most of it's on call stuff. So I mean, running another dead grade 3, you know, keeping Duke at 4 didn't really help me. So I brought him down to help try to get some more effects off. You know, if all else fails, you hit the chain and you're running a Duke deck, and it runs fantastic as a Duke deck. But I mean, if you end up riding Chrome Jailer first, or you ride over Duke with Chrome Jailer because you have another one in hand and you can start shooting off combos and everything, that's fine. But Duke's there as a secondary Vanguard, so that you can just run a Duke deck if you have to, and rather to continue pluses off the chain. But yeah, there's many games where instead of finishing it with Chrome Jailer, I just finish it with Duke, and it works just fine. And then obviously your last grade 3 is gonna be 4 Chrome Jailer. I keep him at 4 rather than 3 because he's a Persona Blast, so there's really no point to run him at 3. I find that, you know, obviously for obvious reasons, going from 11 to 10k when you were going from Duke to him kind of screws up your mindset. Like, oh crap, they can hit me for better numbers than I was used to, a lot easier. But so just be careful of that. If their columns are too perfect, stay on Duke. But otherwise, Chrome Jailer's effects, Counter Blast 1, Persona Blast. Look at the top 4, call 2. You have plenty of on-call effects to make it worth your time, and it allows you to refill your field after you Limit Break, which is Counter Blast 2, Sacrifice 2. He gets plus 10k, plus 1 crit. I really use his Limit Break to clear the field of bad columns, which happens quite a lot in this deck. You know, just fix columns hardcore. Like if I had to pull out Vortimer, the grade 0, and it's behind my Vanguard, just clean that up, no problem. And if I can, Persona Blast, fill it back up. If not, just play it from my hand. But it's better than calling over when I can get effects off. So, but all in all, you have 2 finishers in this deck, and they're your grade 3s. So, if you have to, finish the game with Duke, or if you need to, finish the game with Chrome Jailer. Like I said, it runs great as a Duke deck, it runs great as a Chrome Jailer deck. The only issue is that it's very inconsistent, because it's not super inconsistent, I should say. It's inconsistent because sometimes effects go off, sometimes they don't, but in the end, it does what it's supposed to. That was Koheleth with Imaginary Goddess. Hopefully you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.